And I remember right after I come out of the bedroom, in an instant, right as I go down the stairs to join the rest of the party, I ended up getting ran up upon by a girl, and she ended up punching me right in the eggplant. At that moment, I was in excruciating pain until I realized who this girl was. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane but really painful story. Now, this story takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 12 year. Now, in grade 12, I was a major player, but at the same time, I'm gonna be honest, I did not respect rules at all. Like, if anything, I believe that rules were meant to be broken, and I'm gonna be honest, it led to me doing a lot of bad choices. But also knowing that it was my grade 12 year, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the smartest of the bunch, because I remember in my grade 12 year, I was always stressed out and always worried about what my future held for me. Because if you think about it, in your grade 12 year, it's your final year of high school, you're reaching an age where you're becoming an adult, and also if someone went back in time and told me back in my grade 12 year that I was gonna become a storyteller on the internet, well, I wouldn't believe them whatsoever. Because at that time, I was always stressed out about what I wanted to be in the future. The reason I say this is because I never saw myself doing anything of the ordinary jobs, from becoming a doctor to a lawyer. I just didn't see any of it because I didn't have good skills like that. The only skills I really had back then was doing the Devil's Tango. So as you guys could tell, my life was pretty all over the place. But I remember one time in my grade 12 year, I was walking down the school hallway minding my own business. I was actually on my phone texting girls that I was willing to meet up with and just meeting new ones online. Until out of nowhere, I remember I ended up bumping into this girl while I was on my phone, and she looks at me and starts yelling at me. She ends up saying, "Oh my goodness, Bubba, why don't you like watch where you're going? Like, why are you such a dummy?" Okay, whoa, calm down, okay? I just bumped into you. That's all it was. Just chill out for a minute, is what I told her, and she did not like it. It got to the point where she started yelling even more and more and more. And well, what comes with yelling is usually more attention. And I remember as more people started to gather in the hallway, watching this girl yell at me, there was another girl that ended up standing up beside her saying, "Yeah, Bubba, like, you're actually so dumb. Like, what is wrong with you? Seriously, like, can't you support her space and use your eyes?" Now, at this moment, I started to realize that what this girl was doing was basically standing up for another girl. And don't get me wrong, even though girls are usually that way where they support other girls, usually it's never for the right reasons. At that moment, I ended up looking at both of them and I said, "Listen, like, I'm sorry. I'll look up more. I didn't mean to bump into her," and that's all it was. They ended up walking away, calling me a jerk, and that's when I realized those two girls were probably a good idea to stay away from, because they definitely did not like me. I remember lunch finally came around and the bell rang, and as I walked out of the classroom afterwards, I ended up heading towards the cafeteria. When I got to the cafeteria, I ended up sitting with a bunch of friends at a table group that we will just call the boys. Now, I mentioned the boys in a lot of story times, but basically these guys were the guys that were always there for me, and me and them would always talk about crazy things that happened in our life, kind of like what I do now on this channel. And I remember as I was sitting with them, one of the guys ended up looking at me saying, "Yo, Bubba, you do realize like those girls that you were talking to earlier that were like yelling at you? Well, they're talking mad smack about you literally in the classroom." Wait, what? Which classroom? The one in the science hallway. Okay, well, let's go see what's going on. I remember all my friends looked at me confused, and that's when I told them, well, I mean, if they're gonna talk smack about me, it might as well be to my face, right? At that moment, I stood up and I ended up getting up with all my friends, and we ended up heading towards the science classroom. Not that I needed my friends to stand up for me or to be there in any way for me, but they just wanted to see the drama go down. And me, back when I was in high school, and even till this day, I love confronting people and basically debating with people about certain topics. I don't know what it is about me, but I guess I have a way with just basically challenging people in agreeing or disagreeing on certain topics. But when I heard they were talking mad smack about me, I ended up standing up with all my friends, and once again, we walked down the school hallway and we made it to the science classroom. When I got there, I remember I saw these girls yelling, saying, "Oh my goodness, like, yeah, he literally talks to a bunch of girls as if he's like everything. But like, none of these girls actually like him." And right when I heard that, I walked inside the classroom and said, "If that was true, then why are they still hitting me up to this day?" At that moment, these girls went silent and they're like, Bubba, what are you doing here?" At that moment, the whole classroom went silent and everyone just looked at me and no one said anything after that. I remember at that moment, I just looked at everyone and I just said the simple thing that I usually say. Listen, if you want to talk smack about me, go for it. But at the same time, be able to at least say it to my face. Like, come on. And I walked out. At that moment, everyone stayed silent apparently from what my friends told me, but honestly, I didn't really care. But let's just say things got a lot worse, because I remember as I was walking back down the hallway, I ended up getting approached by a girl. Now, this girl actually liked me. She was a girl that, you know, actually cared about me and actually somewhat had feelings for me. And she looks at me and says, "Hey, Bubba, I don't know about you, but there's a little get-together happening this weekend, and like, it's happening at my buddy's house. Do you want to go?" Yeah, sure. I'm down to go. Why not? And then she ended up giving me the address and everything of where this party was going to be, basically, and I was happy about it. I guess you could say my day got a lot better from confronting girls to even getting invited to a party. But let's just say me going to that party was a major mistake, because I remember the weekend finally came around around, and me and all my friends, we ended up talking about going to this party together, and that's what we did. On Saturday night, in the middle of the day, I want to say it was like 9:30 when we got there at night, we ended up going to this party that was happening, and I ended up walking in there, seeing a lot of people that I recognized. And of course, right when I thought things couldn't get worse, I ended up seeing the girls that were yelling at me in the hallway from the other day. I ended up deciding to ignore them and basically ended up, you know, leaving them alone because I don't want to start drama at a person's house. Obviously at school, it doesn't matter because it's a public space. Like, it's not, you know, somewhere where I can get in trouble for. But in someone's own house, I'm not going to start anything that could cause me trouble. But as I was around the party, they saw I was there and they didn't like it. But obviously they didn't want to do anything either, so I guess we both decided to do our own thing. But it wasn't until later on where I remember I ended up going out to this balcony that was at the house, and I ended up talking to this girl that I met there. She was a really nice girl and I did not know her at all, and I remember me and her, we just started exchanging conversation, talking about love life and stuff, and I ended up telling her, well, I mean, it's a good thing you're cute. I'm sure you'll find someone eventually. And that's when she says, oh, but what if I already have? At that moment, me and her got closer and closer, and we started making out on the balcony. We started making out, and me and her decided to go to a bedroom that was in the house, and she ended up locking the door, and me and her, we started making out at the party. I wouldn't say it was the best place to do it, but at the same time, this was back in high school. If anything, I've done it more in my car than anywhere else, which sounds really bad, but hey, once again, back in high school, doing the devil's tango was all I was good at. But I remember me and her just only made out at that time inside the bedroom of this random house. I don't know whose bedroom it was, to be honest, which sounds really bad, but still. But once again, it was high school, so I didn't really care. And then I remember as me and this girl were making out, I ended up hearing someone walk into the bedroom, and it was literally one of the girls that was from the school hallway that yelled at me. She looked at me and said, Baba, what the heck are you doing in my room? Are you serious? At that moment, I looked at her and I'm like, oh, wait, this is your house? Yeah, my brother's hosting the party. You're literally in my bedroom. At that moment, I kind of froze and I was like, oh, like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't really plan for this to go down. And even the girl was apologizing, saying, oh, like, yeah, we're super sorry. Like, we didn't know this was your room. We would have never done it if we knew. And then me and her, we ended up getting up and going downstairs and trying to pretend like nothing happened. But of course, this girl that ended up walking in on us, well, she started telling everyone else in the party what happened. And a lot of people started looking at us really awkwardly. At this moment, I was planning on leaving the party, but honestly, this girl wanted me to stay and she just said, oh, like, just ignore them. Like, it doesn't matter. And well, one thing led to another. I remember the other girl that was from the school hallway, because remember, there was two of them at that time. She ended up running up to me, and right when I thought she was going to talk to me, she ends up punching me in the eggplant in front of the girl that I was just making out with, by the way. And she says, hope it doesn't work anymore, Bubba. And she ends up running away from me. She didn't even stand there. She just decided to punch my eggplant and run. At that moment, I was in major pain. Like, it felt really bad. And all guys that gotten hit in the eggplant area, you guys know what I'm talking about. I was in major pain, and I remember I was just like holding my eggplant in agony after what happened. But I remember after everyone saw me get hit in the eggplant, a lot of people started coming up to me, asking me questions, what was going on. And I just ended up telling them that I did a mistake and I ended up getting punched, basically, is what I ended up saying to them. They all were just really confused. And honestly, a lot of them after seeing that ended up leaving the party. And it got to the point where the party ended up dying all because of this one girl that was yelling at me in the hallway decided to punch me in the eggplant. I gotta say, she was definitely a party pooper, but at the same time, like, who really cares? It is what it is. And even when Monday came around and school started again, everyone kept talking about it, and a lot of people were saying how that girl was a jerk. She definitely ended up getting revenge on me, but not in the way where she would have gotten praised as a hero. She got praised as the villain. But I mean, hey, if you guys believe that I should have gotten punched in the eggplant, then follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.